So the last few days, there's been a little bit of discussion on Coast2CoastPinball.com on the blog page about whether or not the show has gone too heavy towards competition and tournaments. I've had some emails saying I love the tournaments, or I don't like hearing about the tournaments. I just want to play for fun. I really appreciate all the feedback. I really do. The truth of it is, and I'll clear all of that up right now, the definitive answer on all of that talk is I'm going to talk about whatever motivates me to hit record on the computer to record the next show. Some nights that's going to be tournament talk and competition. Some nights that's going to be talking about old games. Some nights that's going to be interviews with people, players. It's whatever I'm interested in. It is my commentary. I really do appreciate the criticism, the comments, all of it. I like somebody telling me that they're upset at me for talking too much about tournaments warms my heart, because that means you care and you listen. I know you're not going to like it all. That's the reality of it. But just the fact that you took the time to type it out, that's awesome. It's not going to change anything, but it's awesome. So thank you very much. We're going to have a great show here on episode 192. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast. It's a commentary, and I am a man out of quarters. Interesting episode here for 192 tonight. We're going to have two conversations with two good people in pinball. Josh Sharp returns to the show for his monthly episode where we talk about things related to competitive pinball tournaments. We're going to talk about a little WrestleMania talk tonight, all sorts of stuff. Really enjoy when Josh comes on the show. And then also we're going to start the show off with a brief follow-up interview with Scott Gullicks of Riot Pinball, the designer of Wrath of Olympus, since I got to play and experience one of the very few Wrath of Olympus games in existence this past weekend in Madison, Wisconsin. So that's what we're going to do tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun, and let's just kick right into it. Let's talk to Scott, shall we?
Call the people.
I would like to welcome back to Coast Pinball tonight, Mr. Scott Gullicks. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show again, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I emailed you because I got to play Wrath of Olympus this past weekend in Wisconsin at the Mad Roll and Pinball event. Hilton Jones had his game there that you guys built in a group of, I believe, 4 games you guys built over a few days.
Actually, we built 3. It was myself, Hilton, and another local friend. And it was, I think, 3 or 4 days. We just totally hammered out those pinball games. So it's really cool for me to be able to see that, and for Hilton to come in from out of town. And like I said, over the course of a few days, start from basically parts in a bucket to a complete pinball machine that he was able to take home and start playing.
So I don't know if everyone listening knows the whole story, but you designed Wrath of Olympus originally as a digital game. You converted it and built a real live flipping pinball machine. And there's sort of been this, I don't know, we've seen the drama in boutique or independent pinball, and there was an attempt to get it built through Spooky Pinball that didn't succeed. And now I feel like we're sort of at a crossroads, maybe? Like, tell me where you're at with Wrath of Olympus and what you would ideally like to see with the game going forward.
Sure. So just to summarize again, we did try to get that into production pretty much a year ago. And as you referenced, the whole climate of pinball has been very interesting and somewhat volatile the last year. We got kind of close to getting the numbers that I needed to make it financially reasonable to move forward, but we didn't quite get there. So last January, I refunded everybody's money that had put a deposit in, or the nasty word, pre-order on Wrath of Olympus. And after that, I just kind of took a break for a second and started kind of taking a look at where we were at. And I started getting enough feedback from other people that I should keep kind of trying to pursue this. So pretty much back in March, I made a decision to really absolutely finalize everything from a bill of materials standpoint and just put it out there that maybe we could build a few more. And there was a couple people I knew that were early supporters and really passionate about it that basically connected with me, and we kind of made that happen. So from there, ultimately, I'd love to see, thousands of these games get made. The reality is that it's probably not going to happen until I find investors or another pinball manufacturer that's actually interested in possibly licensing this content from me.
So what you're saying to me, Scott, is that you don't want a bunch of people to send you money in the hopes that someday down the road, many years from now, you'll build games. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I can't help myself. I'm kidding. I applaud you for taking the high road here, because you could have absolutely taken money in from some group of people and then tried to figure out how to build games. And I think that that's probably not the best option with a game as complex and as big. And I mean, the bill of materials on your game has got to be huge.
Yeah, it is. And the funny thing about manufacturing, and when you start getting into costs based on a bill of materials, it is 100% driven on volume. And until you really understand how many games you're going to sell, you don't really know what your costs are. And when I went through and did this the first time around, I based it off of, okay, I need to have 100 orders in order to make this cost effective, because I know what stuff's going to cost on a build of 100, and we didn't just quite get there. So,
do you think that the price that you needed to be at with the game, even at 100 units, was still probably one of the barriers of entry for a lot of people in the kind of the current market of pinball?
I thought about that. I did quite a bit of, a little bit of analysis anyway on maybe why we didn't quite make it to 100. And price was definitely one of them. There was a lot of feedback that, if this was priced at a spooky pinball, I would have been all over it. But I honestly believe that the climate of pinball with the pre-order business was one of the biggest contributors to it not really reaching the full 100. I probably had at least a dozen people request their refunds, probably in the November timeframe, right after Skit Beat basically, crapped the bed, and then all the J-pop stuff happening. And ironically, at the same time was when the fiasco with Phil and DP. It was kind of like this perfect storm of these three other vendors having major problems with money and the complete lack of confidence, I think, in the pinball community and these startups really, in my opinion, was one of the driving factors.
So what's it like now to see a few more of the games built and see them flipping? I know I posted a short video of clips that I took from the show, and I know that you are planning on bringing a game to Expo. I mean, what's that like for you now? Is still kind of, you're building another game right now, correct?
Yeah, it's really kind of refreshing. Just the idea that I had two guys come over to my house, and literally in the matter of 4 days, we built 3 more Wrath Olympus pinball machines is really cool and really satisfying. It's great to know that it's something that can be duplicated. It's really satisfying to see a few more people actually enjoying the creation that myself and Frank Gelati, my software guy, that have put thousands and thousands of hours into. It's just really awesome to just see more people being able to actually enjoy this game. And that's part of my goal again for this year is I'm building the 6th one, just finishing it up right now. And my plan is to have that Wrath Olympus at the Pinball Expo in Chicago in October.
All right, let's say I was a super wealthy, I know this is a stretch here, a super wealthy pinball collector type, which clearly I'm not, and I was listening to this interview, and I had heard about Wrath of Olympus, and maybe I was even in on it before when it didn't quite make the 100 units, and I'm thinking, well, I'll pay Scott to build me a game, if he can build a game in 3 days. Is there a number? Is it possible? Would you do it again?
The short answer is I probably would not do it again. We put so much time in over those 3 or 4 days. Like we really were working pretty much 18-hour days there, and the amount of prep work that I put in from basically March until the end of July to get it to be smooth so that we could actually do that was just a phenomenal amount of work. And the other thing is what I really learned through this whole process, and for anybody out there that's designing their own game and trying to do this same thing, that managing that bill of materials and managing vendors is such a headache. Just getting the same parts and identical parts that you can get from one game to the next is a really big challenge. And frankly, I'm in a spot right now where even if I wanted to build another game, I couldn't do it because there are certain parts that I just can't get anymore. One of them I even posted online was, the fact that I can't get a drop target. And you'd think a simple drop target would be easy to get, but to get one of those that matches the design of the previous 6, I can't find them right now. So I do have a couple extra play fields that I had Spooky make for me. Who knows if parts become available, and I know I can get a complete set of parts to build a whole other game. It might be a possibility.
So you're saying there's a chance? I'm just kidding. I just know that people are going to ask, because I had messages immediately after I posted that video. I guess that was this morning. Oh my gosh, are there any of these to buy? Can I get one of these? I had wanted one last year, so I know people were kind of curious about that. I know it's a lot of work. It's a cool game. It's a great game. It's an original design with it's one of those cool themes that I love, because Zeus, Hydra, these are things we all know, but you didn't have to pay for a license, and you could kind of have some creative control with it. I'm sort of in awe of how far just you two guys could go with that. Would you want to design another game beyond Wrath of Olympus? Do you have any desire to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I do.
I think that's probably the definition of insanity right there. When I look at all the time that Frank and I put into this game, and have it potentially just be limited to 6 games, and to think about going around and doing this again, it's definitely something I'd like to do one day. I'm always looking at designing new layouts and talking to Frank about it. And if you go on my webpage, www.riotpinball.com, you'll see one of the original sketches I had for Alice in Wonderland that I had actually out probably months, half a year before J-Pop announced his. So I've got a lot of design ideas in my head. A lot of them I start on the virtual platform, so I can get some flipping games early and get a feel for layout. So, who knows? And we've had a lot of discussions on, do you go with an unlicensed theme so you got a better opportunity to possibly sell it in the future, or do you go with a licensed theme because you'll get more support and more buyers in? But then you got the whole fiasco again of making sure you can actually secure that license and give your buyers the confidence that you do have a license, that you can follow through on it.
Wow. Well, I look forward to seeing the game at Expo, and I would encourage anybody listening to this interview that's coming to Expo to find the game, find Scott, talk to Scott. Frank coming too, I'm hoping?
Yep. Frank's going to be out there. It's going to be great. So
yeah, go play the game. It's one of those. So we've talked about rare games in pinball history. It may be weird for you as you're sitting there building number 6. You have one of the most rare games in all of pinball right there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. When I walk down and look at my pin lineup, and I can choose to play any number of my games or Wrath of Olympus, it's a pretty satisfying feeling. So.
One thing I did want to ask you, so I had played the earlier versions, and then this version had a completely different sound package, I think. I heard Heavy Metal by Sammy Hagar was kind of seemed to be the theme song of the game, and there were call-outs from, I'm guessing, Scarface? Is that what I was hearing?
Yeah, some of that was just custom MP3s and audio clips that each user loads on their games.
Oh, okay.
Our official release at Expo, I encourage everybody to come by and check out the game. We'll be revealing the music that we have an official license for the game, and you'll hear the real, official sound bites and sound clips.
So I was just hearing sort of like placeholder customs type stuff that was put in on that game.
Yeah. Frank Gelati, he's just an incredible software programmer, and he's got all these options in our game where you can literally go in and select an alternate soundtrack, and basically you could create your own music soundtrack for Wrath of Olympus, load it in, and either be able to select the one that we basically ship with the game, or the one that you want to play. And it's all done just through the service menu in the coin door.
That's awesome. Well, Scott, I wish you the best. I hope that good things happen, and I don't know. Part of me wonders if we see the rise again. If something happens here, if people see what I saw, I think they'll be very impressed and really enjoy playing such a labor of love, if nothing else, coming up at Expo.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and who knows what's going to happen with the future, as things change. And I do encourage anybody out there that's designing their own games or thinking about doing this to definitely stop by at Expo and talk to me, or as you're aware, I'm very active through email. Feel free to email me at scott@riotpinball.com. I'm more than happy to share as much as possible of this process with people, just because, I started this whole project out of the love of pinball and wanting to design a game that I really loved. And if I could find out that more people are doing this and help them along, that would just, make me feel good about the pinball process as well. So
that's awesome. Well, I look forward to hanging out and seeing you in Chicago, man.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you too.
Thanks.
Sharp shooting.
Welcome back to Coast to Coast Pinball. Josh Sharp, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So we didn't do a full Us episode last month in lieu of we did the entire family Sharp last month.
We did. I'm in a much more comfortable position this month than last month. Not sitting on the floor. I'm sitting in a nice comfy chair right now.
Well, that's good. Yeah, we were definitely on the floor. That was fun though. Your dad was great. Zach was euphoric, and it was a lot of fun chatting with the crowd like that. I liked it. So what's going on for Josh Sharp? What are you up to?
Labor Day plans coming. First day of preschool for my son tomorrow. So exciting stuff, and getting ready for Pinball Expo here in Chicago coming up.
That's coming up quick because it's already September. So
it
we're
is.
like 6 weeks away from.
I have to already start earning my brownie points from my wife, because Expo is weird in that when I'm away for, if I go to Pinburg, I'm gone for 5 days and I'm actually gone. So she can't really rely on me for anything at all. But when I'm at Expo,
you're not that far from home.
I'm 15 minutes away, which means I'm gone. But I get back to the house for changing a diaper because she doesn't feel like doing it, even though I'm quote unquote away for pinball.
That's awesome. Okay, so when last we saw each other, we were at the ending of Pinburg, and I know a lot of people are waiting for the Pinburg Whoppers to post because it was a huge tournament with a lot of players. I know that's coming soon. Pinburg.
We can act like it's someone trying to promise a delivery date on a new game. It's definitely going to be here in 2015.
Yeah, for sure.
Second quarter 2015.
What was your take on Pinburg now that we've gotten away from it, gotten out of Pittsburgh? What did you think of the event and Replay FX, and your overall thoughts having seen the whole evolution of the event?
It was awesome. I'm like everyone else. It's there's not much to say besides it was awesome. I think it might have been Kaylee that posted on the Tilt Forums thread with sort of the Pinburg feedback. And one of the interesting things that he said, and I think who were you just talking to? John Replogel?
Yes, John Replogel, Longo.
And the whole idea of leading up to Pinburg and not being able to know what it was going to feel like and be like, and when you walk in, having nothing in your mind's eye to have any sort of expectations going in. I don't know. It was a very freeing. You just sort of let it wash all over you that this is what Pinburg is now, and it's amazing. And Kaylee had made a post about, and if it wasn't Kaylee, then I apologize for whoever it was. But the atmosphere of the tournament was more serious compared to having it, at Papa, where there's a whole contingent of people that are it's still a very social tournament, but maybe that convention center vibe a little bit. It when you walked in, it felt like it was time to go do business a little bit more. And
I think people were maybe out of their comfort zone a little. Papa is sort of a very homey feeling place to a lot of people, sitting in the parking lot, seeing your friends.
Right.
And this also was a bigger tournament with more people. A lot of people had never been to this sort of thing before, and were all of a sudden thrown into the mix.
Yeah, I dug the vibe a lot. I thought it was really cool.
I thought it was interesting how in the very beginning, I think it was even during the warm-up hour, I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't like this at all. Oh, this is too different. This floor, this lighting," and really complain. And I thought, "Oh boy, that's not a good sign." And by midday, gone. It had totally gone. Everyone was digging it.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. I mean, I missed the warm-up session, but I can imagine.
You don't need to warm up.
No, yeah, I gotta rest those legs. I knew the concrete floor was going to be.
Yeah, I said, "You gonna go down and warm up?" And you looked at me like I was crazy.
More like sleep, man. I'm away from the kids. As much sleep as I can get.
Absolutely. So one thing I noticed coming out of it, and that'll lead us into the first thing I want to dive into, but I had a lot of people talking to me after Pinburg and some emails I got about how great a match play style tournament was, and I think it's people who, like me, the majority of their competitive pinball had been in Herb style or Papa style exclusive tournaments. Do you feel that there should be more match play or maybe more pin golf or more alternative styles, or do you think it's kind of nice just having a couple major ones here and there?
I think it's hard to do match play as a tournament because it requires the full attention of the competitor for typically a long period of time. So what Herb style and Papa style, even for as much of a grind as Papa is, you have the luxury of like, I'm going to go back and take a nap for 2 hours, and I'll come back when I'm feeling better. Like you're on your own schedule, and match play, you're never on your own schedule, and that sort of sucks when it's tied into a show where like maybe John Trudeau is speaking, and I'd love to see him, and I'm going to make sure I play enough entries before he speaks, and I can then watch his seminar and then go play after he speaks. And with match play, it's like, well, this sucks. I can't watch him speak because it's session 4 or whatever. I think that a lot at the local level, you find match play a lot in league play.
Yep.
And I think that serves a really good purpose for people to have access to that. So maybe you're not, it's the way we sort of pumped my dad up for Pinburg, where our pinball league runs in the exact same format, and except we play one session a month for 6 months. So Zach and I were filling our dad in that it's like, okay, so it's like a whole league season each day. So it's like, okay, that's like, I know how tired I am after, our one league night, per month. So I think enough of it exists if you're in a local league that it doesn't have to be all over the place, because there are more to shows than just the tournament as far as time commitment.
So, the shows are interesting because I just went to the two last things I've been to. I was at Replay FX and Pinburg, which, there was so much to see. I didn't even have a lot of time to see the rest because Pinburg was draining, and like you said, we're busy a lot of it. So I felt like I sort of missed out on some of just the other things happening. Now I just came back from Mad Roll and Pinball, the Madison Pinball League, running a large kind of a dual event where it's pin golf to qualify for a team, double elimination style. I guess not truly double elimination. It was guaranteed 2 games.
I listen to all that goodness. Both I put your recording and then Charlie's recording in 2 different speakers, and then I was able to hear your guys' interview with each other at the same time.
I felt very bad in one hand that I kind of spoiled Charlie's story for him, but I did love his on the fly recording as it went. It was pretty fun. But 2 very different events in that when you go to Papa's like this, except that Papa has the backdrop of all those games. But let's say, it never drains in Southern California. You're going there to play in a tournament.
Yes.
There is a tournament there. That is why you're there, and that is what you're doing. But if you go to, say, Replay FX, if you go to California Extreme, or what I want to talk about now, the Texas Pinball Festival,
yes,
the tournament is definitely not the main focus. And that can be, I think, difficult sometimes for the casual player who shows up and may want to play in a tournament, or the organizers who are trying to put on this great big show with all these different facets. Midwest Gaming Classic, I think, runs into this a little bit too, whether it's allocating enough space for the tournament or just focus on the tournament. It's very different experiences, and I don't know if one's better or worse. I just know that they're very different. And you and I were both sort of on an email from Ed, who runs the Texas Pinball Festival, who kind of basically said, all right, everyone complained about our tournament. I think that was sort of directed at me. Could somebody please give us some ideas on how to make it better and be constructive? And I thought that was a very valid email, and we jumped in and did the best we could. So if you could kind of maybe give the rundown of some of the things we threw back to Ed, where he has one of the premier, if not the premier, pinball show in the country, how to make the tournament better, and where we ended up with that.
It was an interesting dialogue because I think the first question, and the questions that Ed was throwing out they're questions that I get a lot from organizers, that you really need to understand what is the purpose of the tournament at your show as an organizer. If you and over the years, the problems with the Texas tournament go back to '09. You can 2009, 2010, 2011. Every year there were these issues with sort of the good old boys club of good players that have slowly dwindled away from that tournament, and that's not necessarily a bad thing if the show isn't looking to have a big tournament. And I think the problem that the Texas boys ran into was, on one hand, the big kind of tournament player only represents whatever 5% or 0.5% of their attendance. So why am I caring about that? But at the same time, it's like, well, why aren't we a Papa Circuit event? And why, you can't have it both ways. So if you want to have a really good tournament at what's already a really good show, you have to find a balancing act that works for as many people as you can. And the suggestions that I had made to Ed that it looks like they are running with officially tonight, from what people have been messaging me that was posted, was they're switching to a limited herb format where players will not be able to just pump and dump for unlimited hours and will be forced to enjoy the awesomeness of the show after they're done with their limited number of entries, but then still have a chance to play, a Papa-style final amongst the best players in attendance.
Yeah, I like a couple things that they've decided to do here, and this is going to be the Texas Wizards tournament at the Texas Pinball Festival, kind of the main event of all their, because there will be some other little side tournaments. The main tournament will not only be limited in entries, you're going to get 30 entries to play on 12 games, so 12 games, 30 entries. So you play everything once, and now you have 18 more, entries to spread around to those games to try and better your score. So it's limited. It's also limited to 200 people. So only 200 players can enter. They're going to sell a pack of 30 plays for $60, and that's it. And somebody messaged me earlier and said, do you think that $60 could limit this tournament to the casual player? And I said, I don't think so, because people spent a lot more than $60 last year at the Texas tournament.
Well, and when you drop in travel costs on top of that, $60, and you talk about your day pass into the show, all the expenses that are going into the trip, all your meals for the 3 days that you're there or whatever, it's really not that much. And what's interesting to me, and I wasn't at the Fraser Valley Flip Out last year, but they did a limited herb style where it was the same thing. You bought 30 tickets, and I think they had 10 games instead of 12, and it was the same thing. And I was talking with Mark Steinman afterwards, and he was like, this is great. Like, the interesting dynamic there is there's a lot of people that the argument is the pump and dump, the people with the deepest pockets win. And for those that really follow closely, they really don't. You may be able to pump and dump your way into qualifying, but at the end of the day, I love pump and dumps because I can spend $30 qualifying while I watch other people qualify for $300,
and push the prize pool.
And then I take their money.
Yes, yeah.
But for this, for all those people that sort of take themselves out of having any success because they're not willing to reach as deep into their pockets, suddenly they become more interested in giving this a try because they know that all of these other people only have, their $60 in the pot as well. So, I'm not going to lose to Keith Elwin just because I know he spends $400, even though he spends $3.
Yeah, he spends $3, exactly.
But I think that's a way to bring in some people that maybe wouldn't play if it was unlimited. So I think you'll see, for as many people that may think $60 is too much of a commitment, I think you'll see other people that were maybe on the fence and usually sit pump and dumps out to bring them into the fold.
I actually agree completely. I think you're going to get a lot of the local Dallas players who may have sort of resented a lot of that in the past are going to jump in on this. One thing also is all the money is going into the prize pool.
How about that?
And that's, and that's a tough one. And it's the first thing I asked Ed, and Ed kind of said, well, hey, man, in an ideal world, all the money goes to the prize pool, and at a tournament that's just a tournament, that's easy, but I'm putting on this giant festival, and we're taking up a big portion of this huge ballroom for the tournament. What's the balancing act? And I argued that as pinball grows, as the hobby grows, having a healthy, growing tournament scene is a good thing, because there are people who will graduate from, I shouldn't say graduate because that makes it seem like it's better. There are people who will change their interest level from just collecting a game here and there, buying a new game every year, to I want to beat people and win money and win.
Like Bug Emery.
Like Bug Emery, yeah. There are those people. And if you're going to be the Texas Pinball Festival, which is obviously over the past 5 years the biggest and the best of the pinball shows, I think you should have an awesome tournament. And I think they're going to have an awesome tournament this year. I think this is the year it's like no excuses, great tournament. I really begged him to do this, and they went with it. Don't split it up into moderns and classics. If you're going to do one big tournament, spread the games out. So he's going to go with 4 DMD games, 4 early solid-state games, and 4 EM games. So whoever wins this, even the people that qualify, are going to have to really prove themselves across all platforms of pinball.
Yeah, I think, in my talks with Ed, and the responsibility of a show to put on a tournament as part of the draw of the show, I believe wholeheartedly that is the show's responsibility to bear. And, to have that subsidized by the players who are putting in excess money from the money that they're paying to get in the show has never made sense to me, that they need to fund those games that are being played for tournament play. Well, everyone else who, there's 400 games at Texas?
Yeah, at least.
And maybe in the past, I know that there's been many more than 12 games, so there was a big talk. My push with Ed was lower the number of games if you're really concerned about, how many are being, the floor space that's accommodating the tournament versus not. But if these people that are paying their daily pass are coming in and getting to play 388 games without having to pay an additional dollar, why do I have to pay additional dollars that go to the show to play these other 12?
Great point. If all 200 spots are filled, first place on this tournament is going to pay out $3,600.
How about that?
That's a really nice, nice first place.
It's good. It puts it right up there with Pinball Expo in Chicago. It puts it up there with Extreme and Disc, all in Northwest. All these tournaments out there that are sort of that second tier, not a major, but the upper echelon of that second tier worth of tournaments as the biggest in the U.S.
Yeah, they're going to have over $8,000 in prize money if it fills up to 200, and if it doesn't fill up, the breakdown's 30% for first place, 18% for second, 12% for third, 8% to fourth. So I think it's an incredibly fair and a well thought out tournament that mostly you and Ed figured out. I was just there to kind of chime in, yeah or no.
Definitely, I looked up the book of best practices, and fortunately I've been around long enough to see the do's and don'ts over the last 20 years of what constitutes good and bad pinball tournaments, and Ed checked a lot of good boxes for the 2016.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And at first I was a little, part of me was like, only 30 plays. What if you burn through those? And I'm like, well, if you burn through those,
that's the idea.
You're at the Texas Pinball Festival.
Maybe you actually get to see, the big seminars, since all the companies, I think Pinball Expo tends to be the place where most big stuff gets unveiled, but I think Texas is right behind in terms of people that are manufacturing games save up that launch type vibe for that show.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one, I think, going forward for anybody trying to show off their good. And maybe one of the most important aspects we didn't actually mention is the Texas Pinball Festival has made the commitment to move the finals of this main event tournament to Saturday night. So Friday and Saturday qualifying, Saturday night finals. It should be a really good environment with everybody that's at the show already and everybody who plays in the tournament and either makes the finals or doesn't make the finals. Everybody's going to watch somebody win that money. I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's a great move on their part. Maybe a little influenced by the Pinburg success of that Saturday night final. Really looking forward to this tournament in Texas, and we'll talk about it more as we get closer to that show. You and I need to figure out what our consulting fee going forward is going to be on this one. We gave Texas a freebie. If somebody else wants our tournament fixed, Nate and Josh will fix it for a nominal
That's right.
fee.
No problem.
No problem at all. No, we're just kidding. We just want good tournaments. That's all. That's all you want. That's all I want. So we're glad to lend a hand. All right. So update us on the IFPA and Stern-sponsored King of the Ring WWE WrestleMania Pinball Tournament that's going on from now. I think it started July 1st, going through the end of the year, where a grand prize is a bunch of money.
The biggest trophy you've ever seen.
A giant trophy, $500, tickets to a WWE event, and the title of King of the Ring. So where are we standing at that?
John Junt, who has been up and down the leaderboard since he's at out of the East Coast Pinball guys up in Minnesota at the Sunray Lanes League, he dropped a bomb and is now over $300 million on WrestleMania, which is $80 million higher than the second place guy.
That's a lot.
So it was funny because I was talking with the Stern guys, and they were like, "That's a big score. Like, maybe we should have prizes that are not just for first place, so people don't feel so just like in a rut that they won't be able to hit that score." And I'm like, "Don't worry, guys. We're giving out prizes to the top 10. Remember?" And it was sort of like, "Oh yeah, okay, we're fine." So to get on the top 10 list now, it is, and I think I'm there's a couple that I still have left to update, but currently it's just over $70 million to get on the top.
That's
10
not
list.
that bad.
It's not that bad.
That's not bad.
And it's going remarkably well. Like we're getting some more locations to sign up, and a lot of places that have WrestleMania are now running events as often as they can to give their players a chance to, get into this additional campaign at no additional charge.
That's great. What's your take on WrestleMania?
I haven't played it enough to have a take. Is that
That's a huge
my best
cop-out.
political
Huge
way
cop-out. Huge cop-out from
the
Josh
best
Sharp.
cop-out to tell you that the game isn't that great.
Hey, if you want to say it's not that great, you should say it's not that great.
It's not that great.
Is it layout, shots, rules, all of it? What?
Yeah, I think just how it all comes together. Like, for me, and Zach and I, we finished our review for Playmeter that should be posting soon. But obviously, a lot of it boils down to that play in the ring. And to me, like, mini playfields really have a chance to be, they're a novelty. And you either make the novelty something that's like kick-ass and you want to get up there and enjoy it for as often as you can, or it becomes this thing that gets in the way. And I feel like I talked to somebody about that. Maybe I talked to you about this. That, like, comparing it to the power field on Twilight Zone, I feel like we've talked about this.
We may have.
But whatever. We'll talk about it again. I'm on a lot of shows, Nate.
I know. Trust me.
But when you get up into the power field on Twilight, it's awesome. And all it is, it's really similar to the WrestleMania ring. You have like the two not flippers, but movement of the ball devices. And on Twilight, the atmosphere between the speech and the sounds and the light setting and the timer up there of trying to score that goal up the top or having the ball fade out, through the bottom or running out of time and then everything just sort of dies. Like, I've been playing Twilight for 20 years, and I'll play a game before I go to bed after we get off the phone. And when I get in there, it's still exciting to me 20 years later.
So is that the best mini playfield ever?
It's definitely, for me, it's definitely up there.
Yeah. I almost wish with WrestleMania that there wasn't a saucer at the top, that there had been like a hole, like the ball could just fall out the back.
I also feel like it just would have been nice if it didn't feed it as often. So if those gates, and I think it's like the LE where the gates open up both ways, but not on the Pro.
Yeah.
So it's like if you were constantly shooting, and I think the ramp is a great shot when it does feed all the way around and then it's back at you down the ramp. Like it's really cool. But it just gets watered down up there because then you can play up there for as long as you can. And with the way you're scoring points, you really want to just keep the ball active as long as you can because you know your ball isn't draining while it's up there. You know what I mean? So there's sort of like, if Twilight Zone took the same approach, you almost wouldn't want to shoot it up the center to end your power field. You'd want to just keep hitting switches for an hour if you could.
Well, that's what worries me, is that I know the points are pretty minimal when you're up there and you're not in a, quote, match, but there's still points.
There's still points,
and
man.
that could be a nightmare with a guy who can really nudge and keep the ball up there in a tournament.
Yeah. So it just takes away the special vibe that I really get out of the power field, which I find to be a similar sort of novelty.
All right. We had a situation during the, I guess, quarterfinals and semifinals at Pinburg that's pretty unique.
You pushed a kid?
Not this time. Not this time. No. Kaylee George was playing Whodunit.
Oh, yes.
And he got and you'll know this better. I'm not ultra familiar with exactly the mechanics of what went on, but he found and it's argued whether or not it's an exploit or if it's a machine malfunction that he had happened that extended his game a very long time, and racked up the points. And there were some questions when it happened, after it happened. There's ongoing discussions on the Tilt forums.
Yes.
Tell us what happened there, and tell me what you think is the ruling that should be there on Whodunit.
So they're like on that thread on Tilt forums. I recommend people go read it if you're interested in this kind of stuff. But like with how the ruling was handled, Bowen had a post that was like spot on, and it had to do mostly with the fact that like I wasn't familiar with that bug at all, and I was in a similar situation as a player at Papa 14 in the finals with the T2 bug and my super jackpot that didn't count because of the software malfunction that was going on. And we know like the tournament player community knows a lot about bugs that exist, but when you have one that you don't really that you're not too familiar with, that's where you can't tell if it's just a mechanical malfunction on the device or you don't know what you're looking at, whether it's a car accident or what. That it's tough to make a ruling besides what you see in the moment. So for the Pinburg guys to go through and it's like, well, they inspected that the up bank down was working properly, after this first time that it didn't come back up. And it's like, okay, it seems to be working fine. Like, that's all you can do if you aren't familiar with any sort of state that puts that into that position all the time. And until you learn that, it's sort of mind-blowing afterwards, and you can see the sort of the thread of like, well, why are we still talking about keeping Whodunit as a tournament game? And, for us, I mean, I chimed in on that thread of like, it has joined our, banned list, because as a tournament director, I want no part out of making those rulings ever.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I learned out of it, was Whodunit was done for me as an organizer to use ever.
It was pretty
unfortunately,
interesting.
most of the game, I have to give Dwight some crap. All of Dwight's games from Williams are ending up on the I can't use them in tournaments list.
It's a weird one because even when it happened, I actually heard, and I don't want to use names here because I don't remember exactly the circumstances, but whoever Kaylee beat there, I heard somebody asking that person, like, well, hang on, wasn't it a malfunction? And they're like, no, it was deemed player controlled. And they're like, so Kaylee knew that. And Kaylee kind of heard him say that, I think, or was in the vicinity, and Kaylee's like, I think, and you could tell Kaylee didn't want to go too deep into it, but he's like, I think when you do this happens, but I don't know for sure. And it was really an awkward one.
It's like, and you can still see it even talking about today with, someone posting a video, being able to recreate it, and there being an issue with like, was the stage ball in the game or set to off and removed from the game? Like, we're still figuring it out.
On a game that's been out for 20 years.
Yeah, and it's like, well, what ROM revision is it running? And trying to figure out, does it happen in other ROM revisions? So, I mean, this is still an ongoing... I mean, the last post in this thread wasn't even that long ago. It was today.
It's an interesting one. What else we got? All right. Super League.
But yeah, to sum it up, like the right of a ruling as they could get was made.
Yeah, I think they handled it the right way. That's all you could do.
Right, based on a month ago of people like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but like they did the best they could, and I agree with that.
And got it out of there for the finals.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, Super League. We've talked about Super League before on the show. For those that don't know, Super League is sort of an idea from the New York City folks on how do I maximize my local league for IFPA points. And they've done that by basically inviting anyone who wants to come and play in their league to play in their league on I believe they do it certain nights of the week where you can come in, play a set of games, and it's open to everybody. So you get this huge, giant player base of folks based around Modern Pinball NYC. Some people have cried that it's not fair, that it increases the point value too much. There's been, chatter back and forth. I witnessed Super League happening last week. I was there for it.
Did you play? Did you play?
I did not play. I was almost did. If Francesco had actually offered me to play,
he didn't offer?
He did not offer me to play in Super League.
Wow.
I almost asked him, but then somebody else said, "Hey, are you that guy with the show?" And I said, "Well, yes." And my ego was too big for me to play in Super League for the moment. I'm kidding. But, no, I didn't play in it. But I've heard rumors that IFPA may be doing something to address this that takes the point value of that sort of situation down. Where do you stand on it now that we're into September?
Yeah, we've certainly, we released our 5.0 system that became the 5.1 system in March, and now it's what, September, so we have 5 more months of watching how the Super League stuff impacts the rankings, and we definitely have some things that will be for version 5.2 that's going to address some of the concerns there. Without giving everything away, since we're still debating some of the nuances of what the changes are going to be, we hope to have it posted in the next month. Second quarter 2014 will be shipping Whopper 5.2 rules. The big thing with all of these players that play, and they aren't really competing because they're just getting signed up, playing one game to try to win a free raffled item, and leaving, the impact that they're having on the distribution of points, not for first place, because the first place value is determined regardless of the number of players, but how those points drop when you go from second to third to fourth down to the bottom. And the one change we're going to make for next year is, and it's sort of a extension of the base value only counting rated players to increase the base value of a tournament.
Yep.
The distribution of part of the distribution of points, we can geek out on this as much as you want.
Let's minimally geek out.
Okay. The distribution of points will now be based on the number of rated players and not on the number of total players. So if Modern Pinball NYC gets 10,000 people to show up to Super League for 1 month, but only 6 of them are rated, the distribution of points will behave as if it's a 6-player tournament.
Gotcha. I look at it as sort of a, I don't know, I look at it as a double-edged sword because I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make pinball a thing, make it important, grow their rankings. I personally don't really want to play in Super League because all I need to do is play in enough of things like that to show up at some tournament where they say, "Oh no, you have to play in the B division now. You have to play in the B division." That's right. What I need in my life. Interesting.
The combination of Whopper whores and sandbaggers, it's like the cross section of the universe of I don't know what to do. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I just play where it falls. Is what I just played an A division thing.
That's right, man.
Look at me.
Did all right.
Okay. Well, so you don't hold ill will towards anybody trying to do this sort of thing, do you?
I don't. I appreciate it. I appreciate people, and it's the same thing. As a tournament player, tournaments set rules. And games, when you talk about tournament play, when you're playing a game has rules. And the best tournament players find weaknesses in rules and exploit the crap out of them to win. So how can you not, the expectation of people not doing that to, our Whopper system is completely naive when I see how these people attack pinball games and their rules. It's completely natural and expected.
Looking at the rankings, Yorian Angle Brexton still number one. Been number one for how long now? How long has it been?
Long time.
Been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What would it take now, and you don't have to be specific, but generally for, say, Keith Elwin in number 2 to get back ahead of Yorian? What kind of run would that take?
For for all of those guys, it really comes down to majors at this point. And unfortunately for Keith, he is at a significant disadvantage compared to the European guys that, Keith doesn't play in IFPAs that are international. He doesn't play in EPCs ever. He's limited to, some years he plays Papa Pinburg and some years he plays Papa Pinburg IFPA, but he never plays in all four. And Yorian, I think, typically will play in all four every year. Daniele the same, except he no-showed at Pinburg while they were calling his name. Yeah, so, when you just talk about getting sort of big cracks at the big point opportunities, for Keith, it comes down to Papa and Pinburg. And Hilt certainly gained some back from his top four finish at the 8,000-player tournament that Pinburg was. But it's the same thing. Yorian has been crushing it, between whatever circuit event he decides to show up for in the U.S. that he comes and wins. He won IFPA. He's been top four in majors all over the place. Within Sweden, too, and on the European side, he's just been dominant. And Keith's been too busy building Archer.
I know. I may have just, as we were talking, gotten an email from one of the Owen brothers about something. So it's interesting because I guess what I'm kind of leading to here is, and we were chatting about this a little bit, we were talking about like golf leaderboards.
Oh, yes, totally
so
forgot.
how does, it's interesting like how these top guys can move around or not move around. And what movement we will see, you think, between now and, say, Papa, with any regards to the top 10? Are people going to move much?
The one thing, and for those that are golf fans, this amazing run that Jordan Spieth has had, and especially if you look at what he's done at the majors and almost winning, all of them this year, he propelled himself up to number one after winning the PGA Championship. And the dude has just been, like, the best player on the planet for the entire year. And then he shows up to the Barclays last weekend, misses the cut, and he's no longer number one. And all he's had are, weeks and weeks and weeks of killing it. One bad tournament while, Rory, who the number two guy, sat out and didn't even play in it. And he's back to number one.
Now, does that have to do with how quickly Jordan Spieth got all those points?
It doesn't. It has to do with the fact, and this is where, like, our system can't really work the way golf does, is they use an average points per event for their ranking system, and it's because they're all professionals and get paid to play in events that I think it's divided by their 40 best events over the last, 72-week period or something. I think that's right. So if you, and it's a big reason why we have a positive-only system, is we want to encourage players to never have a reason to not play to bring their average down, because they don't have any other motivation to come up and play, in terms of sponsorship dollars and significant millions of dollars of prize money. And, it cost Jordan because it brought his average down over his last, 40 events or whatever.
Is there anybody in the top 25? Do you have the list in front of you?
I do.
Anybody in the top 25 that kind of took you by surprise at all?
No, I mean, watching Stephen Bowden Super League his way up into the top 10 has been entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
No, everyone else on there, and obviously, Steve deserves, being where he is, even if it's maybe not number 8. He certainly would still be on the front page without a doubt.
Sure.
No, everyone up here sort of deserves it based on their resume. I know that, some people would look at number 21, Marcus Stix is on there from Austria, and there's a lot of U.S. guys that would be like, who the hell is that guy? He probably plays a bunch of crappy people. And I met Marcus, what IFPA was it? It was maybe IFPA 10 in Germany, and it was like, oh, this dude is good. It's been the fun part of being able to run IFPA in Europe, and there's been a handful of players. One that's not on this list that should be is Christian from Hungary. I call him the Hungarian Pitbull. He's 4'6", and weighs 60 pounds dripping wet, and he is a phenomenal pinball player. If he played the way, as often as people in the top 10 play, he would no doubt be top 5, top 10.
Wow.
For sure.
Wow.
and that's fun to be able to like know that those players exist out there, and that it really means that the rankings are only as good as the data that goes into it. And there's definitely people on the outside that I have personally witnessed. And Daniele was one of those people that, he shows up to IFPA 7 in Minnesota, and you think the guy's dead money because you've never heard of him. And of course we know everyone that's good at pinball. We're the Sharps. We know everybody.
Yeah.
And this guy showed up, and, he's number 3 right now. He's been number 1, I think. And the dude's, won 3 majors, 4 majors. He's killing it.
Yeah. I don't know if we've talked about this on the show, but IFPA 13 is kind of taking a venue change.
A venue change never changed.
Not a change.
It was just never. It was never determined.
Well, exactly. Yes, it's sort of taken it's going to take on a new face next year as it
is
pairs up butts up against Papa.
It does. We are going to try to have the world implode on itself of World Pinball Championships colliding.
So you're going to crown the IFPA World Championship and the Papa World Championship in the same few-day period.
They will be... Yeah, the crowning will be within 4 days of each other, I think.
Have you heard any response from some of the top players about, oh my gosh, how long am I going to have to be in Pittsburgh for?
It's amazing. The pretty much the determining factor on the dates came down to my wife, which was, do you want me to be gone back-to-back weekends, or do you want me to be gone for an extended period of time, but only gone once? And she said, you know what, it's like a Band-Aid. Just get out there, do everything, and then come home. And for the European guys, they love it, because they were going to be here anyway for that week.
Absolutely.
I know there's a lot of U.S. guys that are like, ugh, our IFPA is Monday through Thursday, and that's going to be tough for a lot of guys because it's all days off of work. But based on the normal travel schedules of people, I think it's actually turns out to be one extra vacation day if you were planning on going to both IFPA and Papa, even when they're in completely different parts of the year or parts of the world in terms of the number of days you need off to go to both. It just sort of sucks that for those guys to have to take all those days in a row off.
Sure.
Might be problematic for some of them, but sorry. My wife makes the call.
It's amazing how much influence your wife might have on
everyone has a boss,
pinball.
Nate. Everyone has a boss.
That's what I hear. That is what I hear. Well, awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Anything else we need to touch on that I missed? I think we kind of hit the high points, didn't we? I think
we're pretty good. And my low battery warning just went off on my laptop.
Perfect
so this
timing.
Is perfect, man.
There we go. Well, Josh Sharp, I appreciate you coming on every month, and I look forward to next month. And where are we at? We're September. So if we don't talk before Expo, maybe we do next show at Expo.
Oh, yeah, man.
That would work out quite nicely.
Come check out my pad.
Oh, we could do that. That'd work out great. Awesome. All right, Josh, I appreciate you coming on tonight. We'll talk to you real soon.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, I want to thank again Scott Gullix, Riot Pinball, Josh Sharp of Coast2Coast Pinball. Basically, right? He's here every month. Josh Sharp of Josh Sharp. No, Josh Sharp, president of the IFPA, the International Flipper Pinball Association. As always, thank you guys very much. Thank you for listening to episode 192 of Coast2Coast Pinball. Look forward to the next episode. Until then, play more pinball. Take care of yourselves. See you later.